We are back here with another episode of the Observer of Football podcast. And today we have a absolute banger of a podcast as we have one of the brightest young stars here in Canadian football in Bim Pepple. Beam, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm good and I'm really excited to be here. So yeah, thank you. Let's get into it.
Oh, I can't wait. And you know what, Bim? I've been hearing your name come up across a lot of the, especially in the Canadian soccer news here as of late, just because you've just been putting in such a great season there in League One in England there with Plymouth Argyle. And man, when I've been watching your highlights, oh, just your explosiveness, just you got that dog in you to help put those goals away. And I honestly feel like we need that in the Canada national team. So I can't wait to jump into your story and to let the audience know about just who you are.
Yeah, so um I was born in England, but I moved to Canada when I was 5. So grew up in Canada. Basically, I'm Canadian. My accent's Canadian or maybe I'm a bit mixed now because I spent a bit in England, but mainly Canadian, feel Canadian. Um got my debut in the Canadian Premier League and then I've been over in England since I got my move to Luton playing in England. So yeah.
Oh, well, hey, you know what? That's also great to hear. And, I really kind of want to dig back just into a little bit of your, like your childhood and your youth. It's just about the whole sport of football in general. To get into the sport, was it more like a family influence? Like what kind of got you into the game? Yeah, got you into the beautiful game.
Yeah, so my dad is Nigerian, so he loves football, so he's always been watching it into it. But he didn't actually want us to play, like my brother and I. It was when I was growing up in England, my friends, my two friends, they were playing, and they just said like, "Can I come with them?" So I went with them, played, and that's how I got into it. And then when I moved to Canada, just continued it, and I knew that my dad's always been supporting us, my mom as well. So we're a big football family. My brother plays, so yeah. Since then.
Well, hey, you know what? That's also great to hear. And I've had some other guests on here before, like Mateo. I had Desiree Scott. I had other big names as well, such as yourself. And there always seems to be this common denominator with sibling rivalry. I don't know if that's just a common denominator here about how that maybe triggers some development in your game. But I have to ask you, and this is a common question on the podcast here, but between you and your brother, who do you say is the better footballer?
Well, we're very different. My brother is a defender, and I'm a striker. We always, obviously, when you're younger, you just go based on like who scored more goals. So I'd always score more goals. But he's probably technically cleaner. We're completely different players. But obviously, I'm gonna back myself. If you have him on here, he'll back himself. If you ask my parents, they won't give you an answer. So, but for my pride, I'll say me. But yeah.
Oh, well, I love to hear that. I mean, there's always seems to be that pride in between in between siblings there, and I mean, especially him coming as a defender, I bet there was a lot of heated one-on-ones back in the day.
Yeah, we used to be fair, we used to do like he would since there's 2 of us, he would shoot, I would go and goal, then I would shoot, he would go and goal, and whoever scores more goals wins and stuff like that. Not so much now, but yeah, good battles back in the day.
I'll love to hear it. Now, Beam, I also just kind of have to ask you, like, as a child and just where you are now in your adult life, was football always the dream to become a professional football player, or was there maybe other sports you took interest in as well?
Football was the main one for me. I think around grade 8, grade 9, I got into school basketball. So I really like playing basketball. But I probably started a bit too late, but I really enjoyed it. I still watch a lot of basketball, but football was always like, yeah, I want to be a professional footballer or soccer player, would say it. I want to be a professional soccer player. I want to be a professional soccer player. And thankfully, I've been able to do that.
Well, hey, and that's something that's always great to see as well. And growing up, so I'll give you some context, Beam. So, I'm a goalkeeper, as we kind of talked about before the podcast, and one of my idols growing up was Gianluigi Buffon. He's my goat. The one that got me into football in general. But for you, like, is there like a team that your family supports, who you support, and any idols that you had growing up?
My family's mixed. So my dad is Arsenal. My dad and my mom are Arsenal. My mom because she follows my dad. My brother's Man U and I'm Man City. So
Wow.
we're all over. But the person I looked up to was Yaya Toure. I was growing up basically. People don't believe me, but I was playing in the midfield growing up. And so that was my idol. And as a Man City fan as well. But now it's more so look like in my position, Lukaku, kind of Drogba, like those type of players. But growing up there is Yaya Toure.
Jeez, you're just giving me nostalgia here, and that Yaya Toure, oh my gosh, like, he had other big players in that team as well. I mean, obviously, you got Sergio Aguero, Edin Dzeko, David Silva, like, Vincent Kompany, Zabaleta. Oh my gosh, you can just go on for days. That team was magical.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's when we first started winning trophies. Aguero, Yaya Toure, like you said, Gail Clichy on the left, Bakary Sagna. We played against, funny enough, played back against Bakary Sagna when he was at Montreal. I think it was like my second professional game. I was at Cavalry and we played them in the cup. And I have his kit hung in my room. But yeah, it was great players. Nostalgic, yeah.
Well, I mean, especially too with your brother. I mean, you're talking about that rivalry, but being a Man United fan as well. I mean, that's that must have been some good matches to watch.
Yeah, no, it was good. Whenever the Manchester derby was on, the house would be would be loud with us yelling and fighting each other and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good times.
Well, I mean, probably for your brother as well. I mean, Man United's under Carrick has kind of had a little bit of a resurgence around here, so maybe it's a little bit more bragging rights on him as his end because I think it's been all Man City here for the last couple of years for sure.
Yeah, to be fair, like, I'm happy that they're coming back because they've been in dark times. So it's not as fun like when I know that Man City is gonna roll up and I give them a spanking. So I like a bit of competitiveness, but yeah, as long as they stay where they're at, as long as they don't start winning league titles again, then I'll be happy.
There you go. There you go. Well, hey, you know what? I'm honestly kind of backing here based on history, Manchester City to win the league. I mean, because Arsenal, we'll see. But you know, Manchester City is obviously the giant they are today, obviously. But love to hear that. So, you know, Bim, I know you're also just kind of talking about how you started in like the midfield, Yaya Toure being a huge influence for you. But you know, you're playing striker, and I mean, like, a lot of those abilities and like that, those qualities that you have, I see you watching and watching you play games. You kind of see that little bit of that dog in terms of like how to track down balls, be always a nuisance on defenders. Like, what caused the transition in you to go from midfield to forward? Because I mean, that's it's a pretty big transition if I say so for myself.
Yeah, to be fair, it was when when I signed my first pro at Cavalry, so I was 16. I remember Tommy sat me down and he said, like if you want to be a professional, you're gonna have to be a striker. Probably just because I wasn't technical enough to play as a midfielder. In the youth, I was bigger than everyone, stronger than everyone, so I was able to go back and forth and then make up for like probably the lack of technique. But as a striker, it fitted my attributes more, strength, power. And I've always been a good finisher, I'd like to say. So he said, "Look, you're gonna have to play striker." I started off on the wings just because I was a bit still frail. I was 16, playing against men, so I probably wasn't able to hold the ball up as well as I can now and stuff like that. But he told me that you're gonna have to be a striker. And since then, I've just gradually transitioned and gone from wing to striker to now just full-time striker, really.
Oh, love to hear that too. And I mean, it kind of helps with that development, right? And I kind of want to hit home just a little bit on like your time with Calvary. I mean, you spent, I believe it was like around 1 or 2 seasons with them. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always kind of wanted to talk just because, again, you're around that time with the inception of CPL. And I mean, you're coming from a different perspective where you're coming in through like the youth and how this, you know, this league that should have, in my opinion, should have been around for decades ago, is just starting up here. Can you just kind of like talk about just your time in Calvary and how that kind of played in your development? Like any fond memories that you have?
Yeah, no, it's huge. I don't think I would be well, I know I probably wouldn't be a professional or at least at this level without the CPL because growing up, it came kind of late. I was in what grade 11 when it came, so you're starting to get to the university pathway, and I'm just thinking like, look, I just want to go get a scholarship. I was applying to American universities. I wasn't in a MLS academy, so even that was tough because a lot of the boys who were getting the scholarships paid for like the Whitecaps Academy, Toronto Academy, stuff like that. So that was my plan, and then I remember hearing about the CPL. I was like, "What? Professional football on my doorstep." And thankfully, that getting that professional contract was like what got me in really. And then to see the standard difference, I remember when I first started training with the Calvary first team, I was like, "Wow, the pace!" It took me a bit to get adjusted to it, and I remember thinking like to myself, if I can't play at the CPL level, like if it's this fast, how will I ever get to Europe? But it was good for me. It sped up my development, just playing men's football from 16 and stuff like that. So it's huge and yeah, fun memories. The whole thing was just fun. I'm playing professional football. I have in my hometown, so all my friends are coming after the game. I get to go hang out with my school friends. You probably take that bit for granted. Like now, I'm a bit by myself. All my family and friends are obviously in Canada or America. But back in the day, I'd get like 8 tickets to a game. It's all my friends from school, all my friends growing up watching me, cheering me on. after the game, we just go to just anyone's house and we just talk about the game. We just talk about life. So yeah, those were good memories, which I miss.
Man, you're talking you must be living on cloud 9 because I mean, that was one of my dreams, growing up, and I mean, just being in front of friends and family, being able to play professional footy, and, I also kinda wanted just to kinda talk a little bit more too, like, I mean, I believe in, like, the second in 2022 season, you scored, I think it was, like, 6 goals in that campaign, I believe, and I just have to ask you, I mean, you talked about yourself, like, "Oh, this is it's an adjustment, getting to the CPL level, it's fast," but, gradually over time as the professional and also the talent you have, you're able to get customized, you develop for it, and you start thriving in it. But can you just kinda take me back? Do you remember your first goal and just how that scoring your first professional goal, like, can you just take me through how was that moment for you?
Yeah, that first professional goal is was huge. Like for it to come, because I played 2 years of the CPL or a year and a half, and then I left to go to Spain, and I come back. So it basically been 3 years of build up to my first professional goal. And I remember it was against York, and when it just hit the net, it was like, wow, like, disbelief, like, I scored, but that gave me the belief, like, wow, I scored a goal, like, I scored a professional goal, and then from there and it's something I've always carried with me that I know that once I score the first goal for me, the first goal has always been the hardest when I join a new team, but once I score the first goal, I back myself to go on a run. So, yeah, that moment was huge, it just gave me the belief to, you know what, I can do it, like, I scored a professional goal, and yeah, it pushed me on.
Well, and that's something too, like, again, it's gotta be a special moment. I mean, you see in other sports too, like, I mean, for example, I'm just giving an example, hockey is obviously big in Canada, but when a player scores, like, the first goal, they get the puck. They get it taped up and everything like that. Do you have any of that's, the ball, any cleats? Do you have any of that stuff still in your memorabilia?
No, I don't have any, stuff. I'm really waiting for my first hat trick to get a ball.
Oh.
Well, I still have all the photos. I still have the video I play on repeat still. So, yeah, but no, I don't have anything from that game, no.
Okay, well, hey, well, the hat trick's gonna be coming soon. If I've been watching you play, it's definitely coming. I can feel it. Um, but I think the one thing too is when I talk about podcasts, and you know what, I've actually had discussions. Of course, being from Winnipeg, I have some pretty good friendships with some of the former Valor players there, and the one thing we don't talk about enough sometimes is the team atmosphere. And I have a two-part question for you. It's a fun one. So, any sports, especially in the changing room for football teams, it's a sacred place, right? It's where bonds are built and where how just friendships are made. For yourself, Bim, how would you describe yourself in the locker room? Are you more of the jokester? Are you a guy on the aux playing the tunes? Just more to keep quiet to yourself? How would you describe yourself in the changing room?
I would love to sit here and say I'm the quiet one, but anyone watching this that knows me, they'd be like, I'm such a liar. I'm the loudest. I'm always the loudest. Even in Plymouth now, everyone talks about they can hear me from miles away. I just always been like that. I'm loud. I'm talking to everyone, making jokes, getting made fun of. I just like it. I just enjoy being around people and yeah, the banter. It's good. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And this other question I had to build on that, and it's because I've heard some stories with Valor where they have like some funny stories that happen in the team. Is there any fun stories that kind of come to mind at your time at Calvary? Like any funny ones with teammates at all? Anything you can kind of think of?
Uh, I don't know that it was so long ago. Not that I can really remember. I'm sure there were, but I can't remember too many off the top of my head.
Fair enough, fair enough. Hey, I put you on the spot, so don't you worry. Uh, but I think just I was talking a little bit more about your time at Calvary, though. Like, I know you kind of said like getting up to speed with everything was a big challenge there, but like, in your opinion, looking back on it, like, what was the biggest area of development from your time at the CPL that we really kind of honed in your skills on to get to where you are today?
I think it would be the developed a lot. What would be the singular biggest one? I'd probably say my hold up play, as in that's where it first started to come linking up play. Probably not as physical, but just linking up the play. Tommy used to go on about your teammate. You need to earn your teammates' trust. So when they give you the ball, you keep it, move it on. Because that's the biggest. Uh, you have to gain your teammates' trust. Obviously, in youth football, you're the star player. Everyone wants to give you the ball. They know you're gonna dribble through everyone and score and stuff like that. But then when you go into the men's football, these guys don't know who you are. So they have to trust that when they give you the ball, you're not going to lose it because you don't know when next you'll touch the ball. I said that was the biggest thing, just being reliable with the ball in possession that I learned, especially as a striker. It's key to get your team really up the pitch. So I think if you look at when I started compared to when I ended in Calvary, my touch became a bit more cleaner. I was linking up the play better and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, and hey, you even said yourself, like even great strikers like Lukaku, like one of the things that makes him so like lethal as a striker is his back to goal, how he links up with his teammates and how you can do 1-2s and how you make those channel runs. So absolutely, I think that was one of the things that I've noticed, especially just when watching, watching you back in the day as well. I also came across you at Valor games and things like that, and Calvary, but just wanted to kind of get that opinion because again, the CPL has been developing some great talents, and just wanted to kind of get that. That example, just how this league is developing great young players such as yourself.
Yeah.
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 Now, again, like we kind of talked about there in that 2022 season, I mean, you have seven appearances, there's 6 goals. Like it's a fantastic season. But at the end of that season, you look to like leave the team permanently this time. And obviously you did kind of leave and come back. But was Europe always on the cards for you? Is that where you always wanted to go?
Yeah, 100%. That was for me, and it was always England. It wasn't even just Europe. I wanted to go to England. Growing up, I'd always gone to Leicester every now and then to train with my brother. So I always knew I wanted to get to England. So when Luton came in, it was a no-brainer for me. I was going. So yeah.
Yeah, and so, I know you obviously joined Luton there. I know that's a really obviously big team, obviously, especially with a couple years ago. But I've always heard stories too, like where obviously having a passport in England probably helps out a lot in terms of like the finding teams. But kind of walk me through that process though. Was it just only Luton, or was there other teams that you're trialing for, or how does that whole process work?
Yeah. So it was originally I was gonna go to a team called Forest Green Rovers. They were in League One.
Mhm.
They had kind of come in for me, and that was kind of the plan. And then literally 2 days before, 3 days before I was gonna fly and go there, Luton came in, and obviously they were championship trying to get to the Prem, and spoke to the staff there. They told me, "We're gonna try and develop you. We believe in you." And my mind was made up. So yeah, those were the main ones. I was told that to be fair, my agent was telling me like if you stay, you probably get more options and maybe MLS or otherwhere in Europe. Where he's like, with your builds, I think England would be the best place for you. And obviously my passport, that's where I wanted to play. So yeah, I didn't kind of waste time. That's where I wanted to go.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you can kind of speak for this too, but obviously, kind of going from like the CPL style of football to England. I mean, that's about to be a big change. Obviously everyone talks about England, especially League One football, very physical, championship physical as well. Like, was there any like, oh, this is way different? Like, is there any like welcome to the league moments at all for you?
Oh, so many. It's almost like, honestly, people won't understand until they actually play it. It feels like a different sport. The things that are allowed to go in the CPR, you kind of get start smart. If someone's coming, you go down, you're gonna win a foul. The pace of play is a bit slower. It's more, I'd say, more technical. Try to pass it a bit more. England, it's just 100 miles an hour. There's no such thing as a foul, and you just have to live with it. And my first loan was at Grimsby in League Two, and I was thinking that, you know what, League Two, um, should be able to walk in the park here. And I was like, wow, 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 wow. Even when I got to Luton and I first trained with them, um, Carlton Morris, Elijah Adebayo, those type of players, and I was like, wow, the standards here was a whole new level. So yeah, it was a big adaptation period. But I'm thankful that I kind of stuck through it because it's maybe the player I'm becoming now.
Absolutely, and I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about that loan to Grimsby, and I mean, obviously they just pulled off a huge upset earlier this past year with the victory over Man United, and I also want to get your perspective there too. But and within talking to some other professional players, like I mean, I just had a recent conversation with Jonathan Viscosi, goalkeeper for Valor, he just recently, and he started talking about his time in England, and he was telling me that even playing in like the League One, League Twos, even like the National League, like even though it's smaller stadiums, the fans are right on top of you. And if you know UK English fans, they have amazing chance and they can give it to you. And I can only imagine for like a player being in that atmosphere, right? I mean, you're obviously playing in a whole new obviously playing a whole new league here, tougher league as well. But man, the fans must be a hard adjustment there sometimes, if especially if you're playing in away games.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything like English football fans. Like So, for example, that's one of the things. And I remember going along to Grimsby. So, you're going along to Grimsby, League Two, and I'm thinking like there'll be like what 5 people, 15 people at the game. There was 10,000. You get 10,000 fans. I remember walking out thinking like, oh wow, like, what is this? They're chanting there. Then you have the away fans in North America. It's probably you don't really get away fans because the travel distances. You're not going to get fans who'd be flying across. But in England, everywhere is a drive, so you might have 10,000 Grimsby fans and 1,000 don't know, Chesterfield fans or something like that. And it's really like a back and forth. They're singing different songs throughout the game. They're cheering. They're booing. It's really a crazy experience, and that is what I think what makes English football so special. Even in National League, I was at Southend. You would get 9,000 fans a game. That is incredible. So yeah, Plymouth were getting 16, 17,000 a game in League One, and yeah, the atmosphere and that they make in English football is something special.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think I actually was just in England, this in November, and I, got to watch not only Tottenham against Manchester United, but I went to go see a championship game between Watford and Bristol City. And I tell you, Watford, obviously, it's a rainy day. It seems like it's always rainy days there in England. But it looked like the whole town was just out to watch the Watford game, and it was just I can't. There's no better feeling in it than my opinion. Even watching NHL games here, like there's nothing better than watching football in the UK. Like the fans are just so passionate for it, and you just gotta love the vibes of it as well. Um, but Bim, I have to ask you though. I mean, obviously there are chants. Obviously, I mean your home supporters give you some great chants as well. But personally, for you so far in your career, what is the best? Like, what's your most favorite chant of the fans that know they cheer for you?
To be fair, I like the Argyle fans have a pretty good song for me. I really like it. Don't know if you want me to say it, sing it, but it's quite a good one. They sing it a lot, and I can hear them, and when I hear it, it gets me going. So yeah.
Well, is it the one I saw some videos where again we don't have to go over it directly, but I was like, we believe in Bim Pebble, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, that's oh that. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're crude, but I love the chants. So awesome, and I guess that's one thing I kind of want to talk about here too. Like, I mean, obviously you go to there to Luton Town, and obviously, I mean, I'm assuming that the manager and the coaches were already saying, hey, we're going to look at to get you loaned on your development and things like that. Um, you know, when you're looking at like a town like Grimsby Town, obviously, like the main like headline news, kind of like the last 5 or 6 months, obviously with their win against Manchester United, but when getting loan offers, like, is it one of those things where you're told to go there, or is it one of those things where you have multiple options and you're like, "Hey, Grimsby's the one I wanna go play for?"
Yeah, I think so. In the beginning, it's tough because I came here. So most boys, they would have come through the English system. So maybe like they know a lot of people. The longer you spend in England, the more people you know. So connections kind of help you. So it'd be like, oh, maybe your youth coach at if you're coming through Tottenham is now the Grimsby manager. So now he wants you, or your old teammate is now the assistant manager at I don't know Watford. So now they want you. But I was coming from Canada, so with a blank slate. So when I was coming over from Luton, the plan was always to get a loan, but it was like they're showing clubs like, oh, Bim Pepple's available for loan. They're like, well, we don't know who he is. Like, we never watched him play. We don't know. So it was quite tough. Anyway, Grimsby ended up saying like, come train for a couple of days. We'll have a look at you, and then we'll see if we can give you a loan. So I went to train for 2 days. I said, yeah, like we like the look of you. We want to give you a loan offer and said, great, let me go get experience. And that's how it came about. But for me, it was a bit tougher because I wasn't in the system. I was coming from a completely new country. League Two teams are probably not scouting Canada and stuff like that. They probably don't have the resources to, as opposed to maybe championship teams like that. They haven't seen me play. So yeah, that's kind of what got my foot in the door.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes, it's even the smallest connections, but obviously too coming from, League Two teams obviously don't have the scouting budgets of some of the bigger clubs in England, obviously, and across Europe, but, I think the one thing I really just wanna kinda hit on here is a common theme that I've been kinda seeing just with other professional players, especially when trying to make it in England, like, it's always kinda hitting those barriers or sometimes we're hitting or getting told no, right? And I think, what really helps set, a lot of the great players is being able to push through those barriers. And I know all of your time in your career so far, obviously breaking through as a Canadian player, obviously trying to make your whole new way in the UK, in like football. There was there any like big struggles you had to face, and like can you just kind of describe some of them and how you had to overcome them?
Yeah, there was a lot. Was there any as how many do you want me to name?
I guess the one that stands out the best, like the one that stands out to you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest was just trying to get myself into a team. It's like to get myself, when I say into a team, like starting 11, starting week in, week out. And that's the biggest thing I learned. Obviously, growing up in youth soccer in Canada, I've always started. I don't know what being on the bench was. Then, get myself into the cavalry team, and then it's coming to England. And it's like anywhere you go, they don't know who you are. So you don't have a reputation. You haven't come scoring 20 goals. They haven't seen you in Canada. They don't care what you've done in Canada. So you have to earn the manager's trust to get game time. And it was tough. I went alone to Grimsby, wasn't really able to break in. Went alone to Bromley, wasn't able to break in. Went alone to Inverness. It was Southend where I was able to do it. And it kind of switched to me that look, like, no one's just gonna gift you the chance to come and start. You're going to get 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there, and it's on you to score a goal in those 10, 15 minutes. And it sounds crazy that you have 10, 15 minutes to go score a goal, but that's just the brutal reality of it. And that's how it is for everyone, especially as a young lad. So once I was able to kind of crack that, that look, when I get an opportunity here, I don't have the time to waste it. I can't play bad. It's not an option, or she won't play again. Um, Once I got the hang of that, it's been easier to adapt to English football.
Absolutely, and I think, like you kinda said, I mean, it obviously, having loan spells and being able to break into the first team is obviously a hard thing to do, and I mean, capitalizing on opportunities, right? Because 'Cause you're not always guaranteed opportunities, so even if you get 10 to 15 minutes, you gotta make sure you use all those 10 to
Yeah.
15 minutes, and as you kinda see here, like, I mean, once you were given that chance though, right, to really apply yourself, like, look how great you did for Southend there, I mean, um again, that's just something that I think really speaks just as you as a footballer. I mean, if you're given the opportunity, you take the ball and you run with it, literally and figuratively. And I think that's something that like I really kind of wanted to hone on here too, because I felt like South End there was especially like one of the big foundation blocks to where your growth is gone now. And I mean, in that time frame, like, can you just kinda talk about, like, just, how you were able to integrate yourself more into that team, like, with that coach, obviously taking advantage of the opportunities, but, like, when reflecting on that season that you had, like, man, that must be some really positive memories there for you.
Yeah, sorry, you just cut out. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Sorry, I cut out there. So yeah, for me, Southend was huge. Like even the connection I have with the club now, I still check all the results. So I get loads of messages from their fans, like wishing me well, stuff like that. But it was huge. I think for me, obviously coming in unproven. Remember, I spoke to the gaffer. I went on deadline day. I need a loan. I need to play. The gaffer said, "Look, bro, if you're gonna have a chance to play here, at the time they didn't have a striker. The striker had just left. He said you're gonna have a chance to play, and it's on you to take your chance. I'm not gonna guarantee that you come in and play every single game, but I will guarantee you might get first 3 games, 4 games, and if you take your chance, then you'll be able to keep your shirt. If not, then you can't say I didn't try." I said, okay. And that's all I can ask for. That's all you can ask for in a chance. And to be fair to the gaffer Khmer, he did just that. And thankfully, that was the first time I was playing week in, week out. I was able to start scoring goals. The confidence was building. And once I scored 1 goal, 1 goal became two. Once I scored 3 or 4, then I realized, you know what? Like I can score every week. It went from hoping to score, like, oh, I hope I'm going to score this weekend. How amazing it'd be to score to, I expect myself to score. And my teammates started to rely on me to score, and the fans were pushing me on. They were so supportive. The gaffer there gave me my opportunity, and I was so grateful for it. And he was always pushing me, didn't let me get complacent. So yeah, that club will always like, have a special spot in my heart because for me, they gave me the chance to really break through.
Absolutely, and I mean, that's kind of the thing that really I really just wanted to talk to you about there too. Just kind of like that was like I feel like the big milestone moment for you. That was especially getting your first goal there, and then that was able to build off the momentum, right? Because again, sometimes it's just momentum. You start getting that confidence, things become a lot more easier. If things start flowing a lot more fluidly, and then you're off to the race there. Just kind of when looking back at your time in South End, like we kind of talked about before, but any like really positive memories, anything like that that really stands out to you when looking back at your time at Southend?
Yeah, I think one memory that'll stick with me is we played FA Cup. It was the qualifier round to get to the first round proper. I came on in the 85th minute. The match was 0-0, and I think I scored the 90th minute winner. So that was, and I ran into all the away fans, got a big hug, and that kind of kickstarted me there. So that's a memory I'll never forget. Obviously, my first goal at Roots Hall, which is a South End stadium as well, was special. That was against Tamworth. And yeah, but I think the FA Cup one was really special. Obviously, it's a big competition as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, FA Cup, there's just nothing much like it, right? I mean, you got a goal in the FA Cup. Like, that's a huge milestone there. Like, you see some big upsets there as well, but having that under your belt must have just been, oh, and I can only imagine the celebrations. I mean, you must have been on cloud nine at that time.
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge. So that really gave me the confidence to kick on.
There you go. Well, as you know, and I've always heard in the world of football, it always changes. Anything can happen. Things change rapidly. So you could be in a South End shirt one day, and then the next day you're going to be in another shirt. So I mean, obviously, you're on loan there at South End for a little bit of time there. Obviously, you got recalled back in January, and then look and behold, you're on loan again. You go to Chesterfield for another loan, and I mean that must like I mean I think a lot of things is with a lot of professional players like that mental ability to be able to transition and then be able to go apply that trade somewhere else, especially where you're just able to get a foothold and really start build momentum. Like how was that whole process for you? Just in terms of like again, you're flying at South End, goals are going in for you, scoring FA Cup goals, obviously, and you're like, okay, I gotta go you're called and then you're out back on loan again. Like how does that all mentally look for you?
Yeah, no, it was a big moment for me, and it was a really tough decision because Southend was going so well, and it was my first probably successful loan where I'm playing week in, week out. But I always had a part of me that I just wanted to play as high as possible. So I had because I was doing so well, I had a couple League Two teams come in for me, and I knew to leave Southend, it had to be the right team. I wasn't just going to leave Southend um, for no reason. But at the end of the day, I was on loan from Luton, and my goal was to get to that level. Luton at the time were champ, or they ended up being League One, but the time of champ was like, how do I get to that level? Okay, I've done it in the National League now, and I felt comfortable. And it was like, okay, can I do it in League Two? Because I'd gone to League Two before, obviously, when I first came to Grimsby. Didn't go as well as I would have hoped, but it's like, okay, I want to get that ghost out of my system now. I want to show that I can do it in the EFL. And I spoke to Paul Cook at Chesterfield, and he kind of said, Bim, look, you're going to play. You're going to have the opportunity to play. This is how I want you to play. I've watched you. And after I spoke to him and a couple of teams, I just decided that Chesterfield was where I wanted to go and try League Two football for the rest of the season. And thankfully, I believe I made the right decision. I was playing lots of games, scored a decent amount of goals, and yeah.
And I think that really speaks to that mentality, right? Because again, you're always looking for something better, as you know. And I guess just when I look at this, like transformation, when you're obviously starting to score more goals and you're starting to get more match experience there. But like, when I was talking to Matteo Di Briani, he also talked about sometimes when you're trying to get to the next level and you're trying to develop your game, sometimes your coach or manager can help give you some advice to help take your game to that next level, maybe what they're looking for. And what I've noticed, again, you can maybe you can maybe clarify me if I'm wrong. But like what sometimes as managers sometimes don't tell the player what exactly they need. Sometimes it's more of a guessing game, and sometimes it's not always that transparent relationship. But like when you're looking at Chesterfield, like there especially, was there any like advice that you got from the manager at the time that really kind of helped take your game to the next level?
Yeah, no, Paul Cook tactically was top. I've never really had tactical details like that. So Paul Cook's is experienced managers. I managed Ipswich in the champ, managed Wigan, managed obviously Chesterfield. So the big thing with him was, okay, this is the next level tactical wise. At Southend, we had the way we wanted to play, and I had a lot of freedom. Well, Paul Cook is very like systemized. Well, I want my striker to be here, I want my striker to do this, do that. And that kind of opened my eyes to like a different side of the game. Southend, I was playing a fast-paced attack transitions type of football. Chesterfield was more controlled possession, and in that way, it's important that your strikers occupying the right spaces. You might not touch the ball as much, but your off the ball work is so key to help the team play the way it wants to. So he kind of taught me to be patient, not chase goals because goals will come. I think there I went my first 5 games without scoring, and you're thinking, oh, I made the right decision. And he told me, Ben, relax. Like, as long as you keep doing the off ball work, the goals are going to come. I don't know when, but they'll come. And they started to come, thankfully, after that. So yeah, he was huge for me, just giving me patience and just that tactical understanding of my game.
Absolutely. Well, hey, that's great to hear too, because again, a manager can also be a really big support system for players. And I feel like sometimes that doesn't get, stated enough more. Like, I mean, that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about there too, just because again, obviously in your development there has to be those helpful advice along the way. So, obviously you went obviously flying there at Chesterfield, like you said, after the off the ball work, it kind of helps develop your game, goals start flowing in there. and then you finally get that ghost off your back there in League Two, and then at the end of the season, you make that transition to where you are now, Plymouth Argyle. So, obviously, like you're on loan there from Luton, but like, what caused that move? Like, did you want to try and earn your spot in Luton Town there, or how did that whole move to Plymouth come about?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Obviously, I'd been on a couple loans now, and I kind of said, okay, I didn't want to go on loan anymore. I wanted to find a permanent spot. I'd done National League, thought I'd done well. I'd done League Two, thought I'd done well. League One was the next step, and Luton was obviously League One. So to be fair, it was quite a simple combo. Not simple as in, I spoke to Luton. They said, "Look, Bim, you've done really well. We can't guarantee that you're going to play week in, week out, but we want to see you a bit and probably be part of our squad this year in League One because you've done well in the National League, you've done well in League Two." But I also had a lot of League One teams coming in saying that, "Look, Bim, we think here you could earn the opportunity to eventually start playing week in, week out." And for me, I think that's just what I wanted to do. I'd played week in, week out at Southend. I played week in, week out at Chesterfield. I got a taste of it. And it's like a drug. Once you start playing, you don't want to stop playing. And I just felt like the best chance for me to continue developing was somewhere else. And thankfully, Luton and Plymouth Argyle were able to come to an agreement, and I was able to sign here. And they were a bit similar to Luton, as in they said they want to develop me more, but instead of going out on loan, they're like, "We think if you stay here, keep training, start playing, we think that we can make you a good player." So I signed a long-term deal here, and yeah, it's been going well.
Well, good player is an understatement, Bim. I mean, we're gonna talk about your season so far, but I wanted to bring up a little fun thing I saw on the social media there the other day. You talked about the word tasty. Well, I mean, it seems like you're a man of many different abilities over there. I mean, I saw you were able like doing some pastry work over there in Plymouth as well. Like, I gotta talk. Like, are you a big cook? Are you a big baker? Like, is that just a one-off scenario there?
That's probably a one-off. My cooking skills, they are. To be fair, I think my cooking skills are actually all right. I'm just quite lazy, so I like to get cooked more as opposed to cooking. Because by the time the food's made, I'm already too hungry. So yeah.
Hey, you know what? I think if you apply your full thing to it, I think you got something there. I mean, I was watching that video and how it was funny. It was so funny, but like to see just the whole reaction to it. But man, I definitely had more content like that. I'd be definitely more fun because that was great to see Bim. But obviously, I mean, Bim, like obviously one of the reasons that again we're with Plymouth right now. Obviously, it's the right choice for you as development. And I mean, like, look, you're playing week in, week out. And just looking at the season so far, I mean, 9 goal contributions so far, 8 goals. It looks like 1 assist so far on the season, and you're absolutely flying. And I think one of the biggest things that like, when I was watching your game develop, especially with this time at Plymouth, and again, disagree with me if I'm wrong. I'm just making a player comparison here, but you remind me of a young Didier Drogba, to be honest. Like how you're able to just like not only are you great on the ball, like you're technically good wise about beating your man, but you just hustle and you put pressure on that defense. Like the defense, I always feel like watching you when you're watching those games, they're scared. They don't know what you're gonna do sometimes with it. And you always apply pressure to them. And trust me, for defenders, they don't like that pressure. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the right comparison, but when I watch him, I'm like, he looks like a young Didier Drogba.
Well, yeah, he's one of my idols, but I don't think I'm anywhere near that. I don't want to press, but yeah, he's certainly one of my idols.
No, fair enough, fair enough. Hey, that was one of the things like I kind of see a little bit in your game there, but I guess this like when talking about defenders too, Bim, like you see like big defenders out there, and I've seen some forwards talk about like oh, there was this one defender that was like the hardest to play against. Like when looking back at your time so far, were there any defenders that were like caused you a lot of frustration or were just like so hard to play against?
Yeah. Do you mean this season or in general?
Just in general.
Uh, yeah,
If it's easier,
yeah.
if it's easier, you can do this season.
Okay, yeah. Let me think. Let me think this season. Duh, 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 duh. Yeah, I want to say it's funny because this is gonna sound weird because I scored 2 goals against him, but we played Cardiff just recently, and the centre backs we played were Callum Chambers and Gabe Oshaw. They were both in the Prem. I was actually at Luton with Gabe for a while. And Gabe in training, we always used to go at it at Luton. Always used to go at it. And he always had my number. And because we played against each other for so long, that game that it was last weekend actually we played. I scored 2 goals, so it might seem like oh, I scored 2 goals, but it was very a lot of thinking because there's a couple moves I would do that against other defenders it would work, but he's seen me do it in training multiple times where I'm trying to roll him and he's there, and so I'm trying to think. It was a big chess battle where I'm thinking, okay, Gabe's expecting me to do this, so I need to do this, or Gabe's not expecting me to do this, so I need to do this. So yeah, that one was a fun and probably my toughest battle just mentally. Even though I scored 2 goals and we won the game, it was a tough one.
Oh, and hey, some ballers right there. I remember wasn't Calvin Chambers at Arsenal?
Yeah, Callum Tim as well.
Wow. So again, that just shows the level that you had to go against too. But I think that's one of the things too. I just wanted to, kind of hear about as well, just because again, some great defenders out there. I mean, Bim, I'll let you know as well. I don't. Do you play any video games at all in your off time, like Football Manager, EAFC, anything like that?
I used to play lots of EAFC, but now I've laid off it. I'm more in the Call of Duty Warzone these days.
Ah, okay, okay. Well, the reason I asked you is because I don't know if you're familiar with your card rating, and this is a question. This is one of the fun ones, but so far, okay, I'll give you a two-part question for your EASC stats. Um, what do you think is your highest stat that they gave you on your EAFC card this year?
I think it's to be honest. While we're on this point, this is part of the reason I don't play the game anymore because my cards are always rubbish. So it's put me off the game. But I think it's physical if I remember correctly.
They actually so physical in the Ultimate Team card is your second highest score. They gave your pace the highest at 73.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
Physical is 67.
Yes, I'm not.
But I'll give you some context here though. It's kind of odd though. They gave you a 67 physicality, but they gave your strength at 77,
Okay.
and they gave your jumping at 77 as well.
Okay.
Pace they gave you at 76 and a sprint speed of 70. So I know, I know ratings are what they are. I know obviously sometimes, but obviously it should be a lot higher. But hey, okay, weak foot though. That's 5 stars.
Yeah.
What do you think they gave you on a weak foot out of 5 stars?
4 star.
They did. They gave you 4-star weak foot.
I'll take that for League One. But I'll take that as well because they don't usually give League One too high ratings. So I'll take that.
Absolutely. But obviously, we're going to see that card obviously balloon up, I assume, on the next coming seasons or the updates. But, I think that was something just to really kind of represent. And one of the reasons why I mentioned it's because I play a lot of Twitch Football Manager. Love that game. And a lot of the supporters that I have are Blackpool supporters. So I was kind of talking to them about, I might have a player from Plymouth, Argyle, and they're like, who is it? And I'm like, oh, it's Beeman. And they're like, oh, that guy always causes us trouble at Blackpool. And and they're like, we wish he was in our team, because I think they were like, man, him and Ashley Fletcher up top could be so good together, and all that stuff like that. And yeah, so it's just a little fun banter that they have. But yeah, I've been a Blackpool fan because of them.
Yeah, nice.
So, Bam, and then again, one of the big things I really want to kind of talk about here too is just like again, international career. So, like you kind of said before, you could have represented 3 countries. Let me get that right. Yeah. So, England, Nigeria, and Canada. Now, obviously, you lived in Canada. You lived in UK there for a bit, and obviously, obviously a family of ancestry from Nigeria. But ultimately, you decided to select Canada as a country you're going to represent. Like, what led to that decision? Like, can you lead me through the whole process?
Yeah, so Bobby started U17 World Cup, like U17 cycle had Canada and Nigeria both kind of invite me to camp, invite me to their teams. And I think the biggest thing was I just growing up in Canada and obviously watching the national team, all my friends at school, it's like, oh, you play for Canada. Um, it's just a dream of mine, like, do you know what I mean? So even playing U17, being at that camp, I was like, wow. And since then, I got a taste of it, and I just want more. Unfortunately, I think my U20 year got cancelled because of COVID. But now, obviously, it's a goal of mine. The first team. I've grown up in Canada. That's where I want to live when I'm done playing. Um, my family's still there, like my parents, and that. It's where I want to play, really.
Well, and I think that's something that speaks volumes. And I mean, especially with like don't get me wrong, Canada's developing a lot of great talent as of late. But with the injury to Promise David, it's created a lot more availability and spaces in the attack, especially. And honestly, you're the most informed striker in for Canada and in all of Europe at the moment. And I mean, that's something that can't go understated. Like, I mean, like you said, you're absolutely flying this year. And again, I think again, if you given the chance, I think you obviously do take that opportunity and run with it there. And I mean, this talk about like wearing I mean, obviously this is a sweater, not a kit, but like getting an opportunity to represent your country as well, man. Like I wouldn't want honestly, I want you to start up top for the country because again, you're just been so good this season against top competition as well.
Yeah, no, obviously it's a goal of mine, and I know that the quality of players that the national team has is it's crazy. I think from when I first moved to Canada, the if you look at probably the player pool and where the players are playing at compared to now, I always tell my teammates and they ask me, "Oh, have you not played for Canada? Have you not been called up like Canada?" And I'm like, "Oh, you guys don't know that the players that we have coming through now, it's not easy to get in anymore." Um, so obviously it's a big dream of mine. I know it. I know it's tough, and I'm hoping to continue that form to give me the best chance to get into to the squad. But yeah, it would be a dream come true. Just to have my family and my friends watching me to go home and play in Canada is, yeah, it'd be give me goosebumps really thinking about it. So yeah, it'd be a dream come true.
Well, we're hoping that it comes true very soon. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know if you can talk about it at all or not, but has there been any conversations, any talks at all with Jesse Marsh and the team? Has there been any conversations at all?
Nah, not yet, not yet,
Oh.
not yet. Still waiting for hopefully the phone to ring or an email. I know obviously I'm on the radar. Get my agent gets updated. I'm on the radar, maybe being tracked, but I haven't heard anything myself. So
Well,
yeah,
hopefully that changes soon. But I mean, I also have to ask this question as well because I mean, there's some great Canadians over there in the UK, and I mean, any good friendships with anyone? Like a couple of them come to mind, like Junior Hoylett, obviously a legend himself. Kyle Laren, obviously you got Ali Ahmad over there. Any kind of friends that you have or any that you have relationships with out there in the UK?
yeah, it's weird. I've kind of like dodged all these people. Like Junior Hoyle, he's gone to League Two now, but I've just moved to League One. Obviously, Ali Ahmed's in the Championship. I played Jamie Knight LaBelle last year in League Two. Had a good chat with him just about the national team, what it's like to get called up, stuff like that. I think is he in Swindon now? He's back in Swindon
I think
in
he
League
is,
Two.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's Liam Fraser at Reading. I haven't played Reading yet. I think I was injured when Argyle played them. When I first signed, Theo Corbianu was still at Wolves, and he sent me a message on Instagram. This is when I signed for Luton. Just if you need anything, stuff like that, like just reach out. But never actually got time to properly catch up. So yeah, it's been well. I've somehow managed to really dodge all the Canadian players, unfortunately, but hopefully, or I know eventually, I'll be able to link up with some of them.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we'll stay tuned on that. And just a couple more things before we kind of end the podcast here. But, you obviously you live in the UK and you have a lot more experience there. But when I was in the UK with traveling, sometimes I had to, correct some of the UK and just correct some things about Canadians over there. Because sometimes they have like some misconceptions about Canada and Canadians in general. But like, um, has there been any like common like things that the UK people think that like, hey, this is how Canada is, like any misconceptions that you always have to correct?
Yes, they think that it snows 24/7. I have to tell them that at least my city, Calgary, in the summer, it's very hot, but they just think it's snow, 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 snow. Um, there now they know we're getting bet that we're getting good at football, we're playing soccer, but obviously they just think people play football there, it's just hockey, no? So that's a big misconception. And then the MLS, the amount of times I've had to explain that there's 3 Canadian teams in the MLS, but Canada also has its own league called the CPL. That one is really confusing to know. But yeah, it's step by step they're learning.
You know what's funny is that CPL final that happened this past year. I don't know if you saw it, the Blizzard. They're like, is that how that normally football games are played in Canada? I'm like, I played in like one or two games similar to that, but no, not like that and crazy. And they start commenting, being like, "This is how Canadian football play is, right?" I'm like, no, 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 no. It's not like that at all. But no, and I guess just being you just been absolutely flying there. I'm gonna have to buy myself a Plymouth Argyle kit with your name playing on the back of it to represent it on the podcast here and just on Twitch because wow, when just having your name and have the potential just to talk to you is just incredible. And I mean, I'm really hoping that you can really represent Canada here in the national team here. I mean, I think you do bits for us, and I honestly think honestly the sky's the limit here for you. But yeah, like yeah, it's super pleasure talking with you here, Bim. And just before we kind of end it here, I just want to ask you two more fun questions just before we end it, and then we can wrap up. But you talked about earlier about Sagna being like one of your best jersey swaps.
Yeah.
Is that the best jersey swap you had, or is there been other jersey swaps that you've had that have been better, or have been another notable ones? I guess is better to say.
So the thing is, it's weird. I haven't got many jersey swaps, so that'll be the best jersey swaps. But it's in best that teams I played against. I played against. It was one of my first games to Grimmsby. We played against Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup when they were Prem. This is when they had Morgan Gibbs White, Emmanuel Dennis, Sacco, centre back, just Jesse Lingard. Yeah, so I played against them. I didn't get any jerseys. Obviously, even at Luton, I didn't play against these guys. But when they're in the Prem, you have like Ross Barkley coming into the changing room, Tim Krul, and it's weird. Like you're looking at these guys. Technically, they're well, I was at Luton, didn't actually play, but they're your teammates. So you're training with them, and it's mad. But no, I didn't actually swap any jerseys. So I'd say that's the best jersey swap. But yeah, played against some pretty good players.
Hey, I just have to ask you because I don't know if you ever have you ever heard the name Armando Sa by chance?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've had us on a podcast too, and he was telling me about some of her jersey swaps he's had, like with David Beckham, Ronaldinho, and all those guys. So I just had to ask because again, you played against some top talent as well.
It's tough to get kits though, because everyone wants them.
I mean, you got to get them quick after the game, right? Just to go and talk to the player, like, hey, yeah, I could see that. And then the final question here, Bim. So, you talked about it when after you're done with your career, you want to move back to Canada, back to the Great White North, the cold. I'm assuming you're missing the -30s, obviously. But I gotta say though, when you're talking about moving back and settling down, would it be back in Calgary, or would you be looking at any other towns or cities in Canada?
I think my dream, I always tell my brothers, I think my dream would be Vancouver, just because they don't get as much snow. They get more of the rain. I think being in England, I'm getting used to the rain. It's the Calgary winters, like, because I've not done them for so long. The -30, -35. I don't know if I could get used to them again. It's too much for me.
You sh-
So I think like, uh,
oh, sorry. So you sure you don't want to move to Winnipeg?
you guys have it. This all. Don't want, don't want that. I think for me, Vancouver would be the best. It's an hour flight for my family in Calgary, but it's not. I'm not getting that much snow, more rain. I think that's where I want to live.
Absolutely. Well, hey, and I've been to Vancouver. It's just not fair. Like beautiful scenery, beautiful weather, no bugs at all.
Yeah.
It's just not fair. I mean, I don't like, again. I love my town.
Or
Love,
Kelowna. Kelowna. Kelowna would be lovely.
yeah, yeah. I was even thinking too. Surrey would be also a really good one too.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
Well, hey, you know what? I got some friends in Calgary too, and you know what? Hey, but BC, it's always top, I
Yeah.
think. Um,
Yeah.
but Bim, again, I just want to say thank you again for so much for being here on the podcast, talking about your journey through professional football, starting out from obviously in Canada, all the way up to obviously in the top in one of the top leagues there in the UK and England there, and you're obviously flying for Plymouth Argyle, and you're hopefully can get you a shout at the Canada men's national team there. Again, for anyone who's thank you again for the audience for tuning in for this. I'll be providing all the links for Bim's social media down below, so be sure to go follow Bim and follow his journey. And honestly, yeah, he's one of the upcoming kind of talents here that you got to follow. Make sure that you go support him any way we can, because again, he's representing us proud, and in an age where we definitely need a lot of strikers, and he's definitely one of the top ones out for our country at the moment. So, before we end off here, Bim, is there anything you want to shout out? Anything that you wanted to kind of highlight on the podcast?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on. Thank you to all the supporters, the Canadian supporters. Like I see your messages and they encourage me, and yeah, I'm just thankful.
Well, Bim, again, just again, thank you so much again for being on the podcast. It was an absolute pleasure. And again, we'll be here in the next episode of the Observer Football Podcast. So be again, please go sure to go follow Bim, and all links will be provided in the links below. But again, we'll check in the next episode. Catch you later. Peace.